Om Vakratunda Mahakaya Suryakothi Samprabha Nirvignam Kuru Me Deva Sarvakaryeshu Sarvada. Om Shri Bhagavate Namaha. Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om Sadasiva Samarambham Shankaracharya Madhyamam Asmadacharya Padyantam Vande Guru Paramparam Asmad Gurubhyo Namaha. Shruti Smriti Purananam Alayam Karunalayam Namami Bhagavatpadam Shankaram Lokashankaram Shankaram Shankaracharyam Keshavam Badarayanam Sutra Bhashyakritau Vande Bhagavantau Punah Punah Ishvaro Gururatmeti Murti Bheda Vibhagine Vyomavad Vyapta Dehaya Dakshina Murtaye Namaha Om Shri Medha Dakshinamurti Swamine Namaha. Om Sahana Vavatu Sahano Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhetamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om. Om Parthaya Pratibodhitam Bhagavata Narayanena Swayam Vyasena Gratitam Purana Munina Madhye Mahabharatam Advaitamrita Varshinim Bhagavatem Ashtadashadhyayine Ambatvam Anusandhadami Bhagavad Gita Bhavadveshine Yam Brahma Varunendra Rudra Marutah Stunvanti Divyaistavaihi Vedais Sankapadakramopanishadaihi Gayanti Yam Samagaha Dhyanavastita Dadgatena Manasa Pashyanti Yam Yoginaha Yasyantanna Vidhusura Suragana Devaya Tasmai Namaha. Namaste once again, everyone.
Namaskaram, Guruji.
Namaskaram, Namaskaram, Namaste. So, we are seeing the teaching of Gita Shastram by Bhagavan Krishna. And in that, we are now in the process of understanding the first approach of Bhagavan, which is the philosophical approach, wherein Krishna is unfolding the nature of Atma, which is the real self of all beings in this universe. And the first point which he taught was that wise people, he called them Panditaha, people who know the absolute truth, people who know the truth about their real selves, they do not grieve for anything which has gone or which is not yet gone but eventually will go away. So they understand the ephemeral nature of this entire universe, of everything in this universe, including the ephemeral nature of this creation itself. This creation also will resolve at one point in time, in future. It is not permanent. Therefore, these Panditaha, they know all that is born will die, what comes will go away one day, what is created will be resolved. Such is the nature of this world, and it is the nature of all beings also. And it is because of this objective understanding that they have no grief. Then next, Bhagavan started a description of the nature of Atma. It was said that every individual is a conscious entity. Every living being is a conscious entity, which means that there is consciousness in the body, mind, sense complex, which makes it sentient. It makes a living being a living being. And Bhagavan pointed out that even though this universe is ephemeral in nature, there is a time when it will actually disappear. The consciousness, which is the inner essence of the universe and also the inner essence of every being, is Nitya. it's permanent and it is eternal. This was pointed out. We know that the death of a close relative or friend causes immense grief. That is our experience, and most of the world, rather. There is grief when somebody close to us passes away. But if it is understood well that the real self is eternal, there will be no cause for grief for anyone due to the death of the physical body. Physical body is impermanent because it is part of the creation. Whereas Atma is permanent because it is not part of the creation, it actually pervades the entire creation. But of course, we should be careful. This does not mean that one should not shed tears or one should not mourn the death of our near and dear ones. That is not the meaning. What it means is that we should not get emotionally carried away due to the fall of the physical body, because that is eventually it is going to happen one day or the other. And also one realizes that even though the physical body has fallen, the Atma, the indweller in that body, actually continues its life and takes another body. So even though a death of a person may cause some amount of grief to us, the same that same indweller, that Atma, when it assumes another body, be it a body of an animal or be it a body of a human being or even a body of a plant, there is a new birth. And that birth is a joyful experience, isn't it? When we see a new baby being born, a just born baby, when we see it, it's a matter of joy for us. But it's not only human baby. Even when we see, whether it's a baby of a bird or a baby of an animal, they are also cute and so joyful to see and to experience. Even a plant, a small plant which just sprouts, such a wonderful experience. So once we understand that it is the Atma of somebody, which is again, taken another body, another physical body to continue its eternal journey, then if we understand that, people who understand, they don't have any reason for grief just because the physical body has fallen. Okay. This much we have seen. And we started the next sloka in the last class. We will now continue from there. Dehinosmin yata dehe kaumaram yauvananjara tata dehantara praptihi dhirastatra namuhyate. So Anvaya of this sloka is yata dehinaha asmin dehe kaumaram yauvanam jara tata dehantara praptihi tatra dhirahana muhyati. Simple Anvaya. Okay. We'll see the first word meanings, then I'll give you the explanation of the sloka. Yatha, just as. Dehinaha, for the indweller of the body, that is the Atma. Asmin dehe, which is in this body, kaumaram, goes through boyhood or girlhood, yauvanam, youth, jara, old age, tatha, similarly, that is, it also goes through dehantara praptihi, attainment of another body, dhiraha, a wise man, na muhyati, does not worry, does not get deluded, tatra, with reference to that. So, what here it is said is, just as how for an indweller of this body, the Jivatma, there is a boyhood, there is a youth, and there is an old age, so too, it is the gaining of another body. It is just a process. With reference to that, A wise man does not come to grieve. He does not get deluded. So now we have been talking about Atma, 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 right? Now, where does this, and we also talked about Jivatma. We talk about Jiva, a living being. Now, where does this Jiva exist? As we have seen, this Jivatma is the one who makes the body conscious. It is the indweller of this body. In other words, the Jiva referred to in this verse is as the Dehinaha. Dehaha asminastu Dehinaha. The one who is present in the body, which is nothing but the Atma. Atma with a body, mind, and sense complex. So here, Bhagavan Krishna is referring to the threefold states that the body undergoes, the physical body undergoes, and each of which is a distinct state from the previous ones. In fact, he talks about only three. We can include one more, Balyam, childhood also, before Kaumaram, because practically the four are there, right? If you actually look at the Shadvikara, Asti, Jayate, Vardhate, Viparinamate, then Apakshiyate and Nashyati. So, Asti and Jayate, the birth is there, and last is death. That if you remove, there are four stages. The three, that is Jayate, Vardhate, Viparinamate, Apakshiyate, can be converted as four stages, which is what? Balyam, Kaumaram, and Yauvanam and Jara. We can convert it into four equivalent stages. And each stage, as I said, is distinct from the earlier. For example, in Balyam, there is very, very little sense of the I sense, the ego. That is why children, they don't even worry. They go around, totally naked also. And we also don't bother about it. When the child is running around naked and all that. That is the Balyam stage. When there is actually the ego is not there. It is purely a natural state. Then that stage changes to a boyhood state. In a boyhood, some amount of change is there because the boy becomes conscious of his body, mind, sense complex. He wants to cover his body, he wants to wear, clothes. He will not come in before anybody naked. So that sense comes into that. So that change takes place from Balyam to the boyhood state, we can say. So when it comes to the Kaumaram stage, this change takes place. Then when it comes to Yauvanam stage, youth, further changes take place in the body. Like for example, for boys and all, earlier there was no need for shaving, but they start growing hair and all that. And that extends up to adulthood also. But in that stage also, one can walk around without any support and all that. But when one comes to the old age, Jara, again another change takes place. All these body parts, everything starts at failing rather, becoming weak. So an old person requires a walking stick or some help to even stand up from a chair or even from the floor. And even in the case of girls and all the, from Balyam to Kaumaram to Yauvanam, biological changes occur at the body, mind, sense complex. In all stages, there is a change which takes place rather. So if we actually observe our life, there are stages. This body, mind, sense complex undergoes different stages of change. Even without our realizing, we suddenly find ourselves as an old person, as a senior citizen. But now the question is, when the childhood passes, does the one dwelling in the body survive or not? Well, if there is no survivor at the end of each stage, well, one will not be able to talk about his or her earlier exploits or accomplishments. One will not go to the next stage itself. Therefore, in and through all these changes that the body undergoes, the I, capital I, remains the same. Thus, the one who was in childhood, who is the one who was in youth, and is the one who is in the old age. That I does not change at all, isn't it? So as each stage comes and goes, the I remains the same. Although each state gets destroyed, I, the Atma, is never destroyed. According to science, it is said that the body is said to undergo a metamorphosis every 7 years. But the person remains the same. The birth of a later state does not imply a new birth and a new life for the person, the Atma. Now, there could be a question. We can easily or reasonably understand that the Atma remains the same in and through all the changes that the body undergoes. But the question now would be, that is fine. What happens when the body itself is gone? What happens to the Atma? Because Atma, you said, is enlivens the body, it makes it sentient. When the body is dead, that sentiency is gone. So does it mean that the Atma also goes away? There is no more Atma there. This is a genuine question which will occur to everybody, occur in everybody's mind rather. Here what Krishna is saying that when you have understood the logic of the changes in the body and the indweller being the same through every change, simply extend that logic to death also. Just as each of these states is taken for the Atma, Atma remains the same in each of these states. After death, what happens? The Atma takes another body and that Atma remains the same only. That is all. So the change, the death is nothing but one more change for the body. Now the shape and size and color and the attributes of the previous body may not be there, but there is a new body, there is a new Stula Sharira, there is a new Sukshma Sharira, there is a new Karana Sharira, and the Atma continues to be the same. So, just like, how a person does not remember his or her first 3 years or initial few years, whatever happens, we don't even have a recollection of what happened at those times. Only our parents tell that you did this, at so and so time you started walking, at so and so time you started talking, all that. We don't remember when we started walking, when we started talking and all that, isn't it? So what is Bhagavan implying is that in the same way, the previous lifetimes in other bodies are also not remembered. But that is fine. I mean, we can understand, if we extend the logic, we can understand that. Because if we remember all our previous lifetimes, whatever happened, there will be humongous problems we will face. Even in one lifetime, if we start remembering what all happened to us in the past and all that, it gives a lot of problems to us. Not to talk of, remembering everything from the previous births. In fact, we will be blaming people for all those experiences in the previous lifetimes. Just as we do in this one, here also we blame everybody, isn't it? For all our problems, other people are responsible. I am a very nice person as such. So, if we have to remember everything that has happened in the previous bodies, how many bodies, crores of bodies we may have taken? There will be a total chaos. So, whether we know it or we don't know it, Atma remains the same. Be it with reference to the first 3 years of the birth or to previous births. Thus, from the standpoint of Atma, there is no reason for sorrow born of self-decimation or death. So the next question would be, if I am eternal, what is this birth and death? So here Krishna is pointing out that birth and death are nothing but changing the medium of interaction, which is the physical body. And the physical body will have to be changed regularly because it is subject to wear and tear. Just like we change our cars, we change our old dresses, we change even the curtains in our house when they become old, isn't it? We change practically everything. Some people remodel their house, spending crores of rupees. Like that, when the body has become old and it has become not worthy of occupation any longer, the Atma leaves this body and takes another body, a new body, a young body, a baby body. So similarly here Bhagavan says that we use this medium of body, and after some time we change it. Because as the body passes through each stage from childhood to youth to old age, it is getting worn out. And that is what he explains here. And how the body gets worn out, he explains. Asmin dehe, in this body, there are 3 stages of growth at the physical level. Kaumaram. As I said, we can add Balyam to that. So Balyam is childhood, Kaumaram is, Balyam is what you can call childhood, and Kaumaram, boyhood or girlhood, we can say. Boy state or a girlhood state. Yavvanam, youth, and Jara means old age. So when these 4 changes take place, do I change? Do I change my name? Do I change my identity when the body is changing? I use the same name when I was in Balya. I studied in that school. I studied in this college. I am a youth now. I am a Yuvaha. I have become soon and I will become a Vriddha. Even though the body changes, continuously undergoes a lot of changes, the I continues. It is a one single thread. Because even according to biology, after some period, I don't know exactly how many, maybe some few years, all our cells in our body are completely replaced. They all become new cells. So typically speaking, the body is actually undergoing a change every day as the old cells go away and new cells are formed. So even this body is a fresh body, as it were, on a daily basis. And it is because changing cell by cell, the whole body doesn't change at one go. We don't feel the change. But it's a fact that all cells get replaced throughout our life. This process keeps on going. So everything which is there, which becomes worn out, which has been used, has to be discarded. And even though all these cells are undergoing a change, Even though the body is completely changed, we are all identified as the same person as before, isn't it? Even the hair has turned gray, or sometimes it is not there at all. The teeth are gone. And for some people, almost every organ gets replaced. Heart is replaced, kidney is replaced. So many changes people go through physically, but the person remains the same. Identity of the person remains the same, isn't it? All that we have to do is understand this logic and extend this a little bit more. We will then realize that at some point in time, the time comes when the body itself has to change and get a new body, a fresh body, and start from childhood again. Therefore, Bhagavan says, Tatha dehantara praptihi. Like changing the old cloth, you have to change, or you have changed the useless body. You have now replaced it with another fresh body, a very functional body, a body which can now again have the joy of living through its own life. So you should be happy because you have not lost anything. That's what Krishna is telling Arjuna. Even we have seen old building being demolished and a new building being built on that. Acquisition of another body is similar to that. That's what we have to understand. And the people who understand, he says, Dhiraha. Dhiraha tatra na mukhyati. Dhiraha means a discriminative person. And who is a discriminative person in the context of this sloka? The one who accepts the body as a temporary medium. The one who is objective with reference to this body, mind, sense complex, and also objective with reference to the ephemeral nature of this entire universe. Such a person is called Dhiraha. In fact, the word Dhiraha has also got a meaning which is called a courageous person. But in this context, we have to take the meaning as a Viveki, discriminative person. He is na mukhyati. He doesn't come under any delusion. He is not deluded. He understands this very, very clearly. And therefore, Arjuna, in this war also, Bhishma Shariram will go. But Bhishma, the Atma, will never go. Similarly, Drona Shariram will go. Karna Shariram will go. All these kings who are there, who will not survive this war, all their Sharirams will go. But their Atma will all continue to survive and take up new bodies. So what you are talking about killing people is only losing their current medium of interaction and they taking a new medium of interaction. So why are you grieving? This is the question Krishna is asking. And next, Bhagavan Krishna points out this ephemeral nature of this anatma and how we should deal with it. Because unfortunately, what is happening is for people who are not dhira, people who do not have that objectivity, as we discussed in a couple of classes earlier, the entire universe, all living beings, including ourselves, we are a combination of Atma and Anatma. And because of our ignorance, we give more importance to the Anatma part of it than the Atma part of it. Once we understand that this Anatma is temporary, and we should actually focus more on the Atma, the question will arise that does that mean that I should actually totally neglect this Anatma? Because if we analyze, all our experiences, all our emotions are all attached to Anatma, not to the Atma. Our emotions of happiness, sorrow, feeling of heat, cold, all these things, they are all at the body, mind, sense level complex. At that level. All are Anatma. So what do? I have to deal with these things. Even though I am an indweller, I am not affected, but my body, mind, sense complex is getting affected. So how should we deal with it? Is the answer. Krishna is answering this question in the next sloka. Matra sparshastu kaunteya शीतोष्ण सुख दुःखदाः आगमापायिनो नित्याः तां स्थितिक्षस्व भारत. So he is saying, Anvaya is saying, He Kaunteya, Matra Sparshaha tu Shita Ushna Sukha Dukkadaha Agama Apayinaha Anityaha He Bharata Tan Titikshasva. He Kaunteya, O son of Kunti, O Arjuna, Matra Sparsha hai, the contacts of the sense organs with the sensory world. Tu, indeed, Shita Ushna Sukha Dukkha Daha. They are the causes for all this cold, heat, pleasure, pain, etc. Agama Apayinaha. All of them are subject to arrival and departure, which are of the nature of coming and going. They are all anitya hai. They are impermanent. He Bharata, O descendant of Bharata, that means O Arjuna, Tantitikshasva, endure them, learn to endure them, learn to put up with them. So he says, O son of Kunti, the contacts of the sense organs with the sensory world, which gives rise to all these experiences of cold, heat, pleasure, pain, etc., which are of the nature of arrival and departure, that is coming and going. And they are not constant also, they are impermanent. You can't do anything about it. That is their nature. So therefore, Arjuna, O descendant of Bharata, endure them. So here Krishna is saying that just as you understand and accept the nature of Atma, similarly, you should also understand and accept the nature of Anatma also. Because wisdom consists in accepting the nature of everything as they are. And why should we accept the nature of everything? Because there is no choice. Because the nature of a thing can never be changed. And Swami Paramarthanandaji, he explains this with an example. There was someone who did not like the smell of onion. Therefore, in order to change its smell, he made a small hole on the ground, on the earth, filled it with camphor powder, and over that he put some powerful, fragrance like vasana dravyam, like musk, saffron, etc. Then he poured the scented water over that. and then he put that onion inside and further closed it with more fragrant substances, whatever he could lay his hands on, chandanam and all that. And after a few hours, or maybe after a couple of days, he took out that onion and washed it again, thinking that now the whole smell of that onion would be changed. He put it to dry. How did it smell? It still smelled like onion only. All the perfumes, scents, and whatever he has used, they had no effect, because the pungent smell of the onion is the nature of the onion, which cannot be changed. Similarly, the nature of anything cannot be changed. That is given. In fact, what cannot be changed is called the nature of a thing, isn't it? Therefore, an intelligent person never struggles to change the nature, which is a sheer waste of time. On the other hand, what does an intelligent person do? Instead of wasting his time struggling to change the nature, he learns how to change his attitude towards that. Since the nature of a thing cannot be changed, it is not in our control. What is in our control is we can change our attitude towards that which cannot be changed. We can change our attitude. That is in our control. Now, question is, in what way we can change the attitude? And that is where, as we discussed earlier, to change the attitude means acceptance. Acceptance of everything which cannot be changed. I accept the nature of my body. This is the upasana. This is, one needs to meditate on that. Acceptance. So I have to keep on repeating that, and only then it will become a new orientation. It should become natural to me. Because if you go back and analyze, most of our problems, they arise out of our non-accepting the nature of a thing. Even when we take the weather, when summer comes, the sun will be hot. Sometimes it will be unbearably hot. But we will see people, they say, oh my God, summer has started. Summer has started. You know, it's so hot. I have to keep on drinking water. What a heat, etc. They will all keep on cribbing. What they get out of that by cribbing? In fact, by reminding themselves that summer has started, they will only feel more and more hot, isn't it? That summer will be hot is a given. It cannot be changed. You cannot have a cool summer. You can't have a snowfall in summer. 50 degrees in Middle East, 55 degrees centigrade. Can you have snowfall there? The snow will not only melt, it will evaporate rather at the temperature. But what we can do is change our attitude towards the summer heat. When there is such a summer heat, we can, in our mind, keep that heat aside, that ignore the feeling of hotness or whatever you can call aside. We can ignore the heat and learn to accept the glory of the sun. What a wonderful srishti of Bhagawad. 9 crore or odd miles away, Bhagavan has created an almost perennial and pure energy source for this entire solar system to survive. The entire humanity has not been able to discover such a source of energy. And even all other sources of energy like fuel, etc., which the human beings have discovered, they all cause more problem in terms of pollution, etc., for the human beings. But Bhagavan has created a source of energy which year after year, it not only lights up this entire world, entire earth, it also makes life in this entire earth possible. So much power comes to the entire earth from that sun. Just imagine if Bhagavan was to send a bill to the earth, people in the earth, for the power that they consume from the sun, what will happen? So what we do, how do we change our attitude? We learn to appreciate Bhagavan's creation instead of grudging it. This hot sun, which I am cribbing about, actually helping in actually killing many of the bacteria, etc., or many of the organisms which are there, which could actually harm me. Somebody, please mute yourself when you are in the class, because I get disturbed there. So instead of grudging, we must learn to appreciate Bhagavan's creation. And even when we sweat, just imagine what a beautiful thing, the thermostat system that Bhagavan has built in our body. Another wonderful phenomenon. If we don't sweat, what will happen? If the thermostat system doesn't work, we will collapse. So even in and through the heat of the sun, whatever Bhagavan has given for us to bear that heat, to endure that heat, all these are gifts from the Lord. And if we turn our attention towards that, then we will be developing a healthy attitude towards most of the things in nature, whether they are living beings or non-living beings. Sun was only an example I gave you. And there is one more aspect that we need to understand about changing. When we go to a garden and see some beautiful fragrant flower, say for example, jasmine, don't we accept the color and fragrance of the flower as it is, instead of wishing that it were different? Do we want a jasmine to smell like a rose? We never think of it. We in fact enjoy the jasmine flower's fragrance as much as we enjoy the fragrance of a rose flower. Similarly, when we see the green leaves of a mango tree, do we ever imagine that, oh, if these green color, these leaves were black instead of green, how nice this tree would have looked? Have we ever thought of it? Do we think of it? We never think of it, isn't it? Tree is green in color, leaf is green in color, we accept it. So we accept the green color of the leaves. Even the thought of changing the shape and color doesn't occur. Even when we make artificial flowers, artificial trees, artificial, all these natural things which are there, we actually, what we do, we don't imagine change in colors and all. We reproduce them just as they are found in nature. Whether we like that color or not, whether we like the shape or not, we reproduce them, isn't it? Therefore, when it comes to whatever is there in the nature, whether it is living being or non-living being, we accept it as it is. Why? Because we realize that all these attributes are the very nature of these things and they cannot be changed. We accept a falcon flying high above the sky as much as we accept a lark chirping and flying in and out of our balcony. We don't visualize a lark flying high above in the sky like a falcon, isn't it? Take the case of mountains and rivers. We enjoy their sights. But do we ever entertain a thought that if the mountain was higher or broader, how beautiful it would be? Or if the river water flowed in reverse or in some other direction, how nice it would be? Such thoughts don't come to us at all. We accept everything in nature as it is and happily live with them. But when it comes to human beings, there is a significant change in our attitude, isn't it? In the case of human beings, we set our own norms of behavior, our own definition of relationships, etc., and then go through our life. And throughout our life, we go on trying to change others who do not meet our norms and our definitions. And this is at the root of all conflicts, all our miseries, all our grief. So what is the solution? Krishna says, you change your attitude. Understand that all human beings are as much part of the nature as a flower or a falcon. Understand that every human being Bhagavan has created is unique. For uniqueness, we just quote something like, the fingerprints are unique or something like that is unique and all. No, it doesn't stop only with fingerprints. Every human being is a complete bundle of so many things. What a human being today is, number one, a result of his karma phala. The prarabdha karma which has matured for that Jivatma is what this human being today is. Number one. You cannot change the prarabdha karma of that human being. Even Bhagavan cannot change the prarabdha karma. Number two, that human being is actually composed of all the samskaras which he has brought forward from the previous janmas. You cannot change those samskaras because you can't go to that person's previous janma and change. All these are given. They're all part of the way the creation works, the nature works. Therefore, we have to learn to accept everyone as they are instead of trying to change their nature to suit our expectations. This is what Bhagavan is advising Arjuna. Therefore, just like learning to change our attitude towards sweating or attitude towards the heat of the sun, we should also learn to change our attitude towards some of the behavior of the people around us. We should first start with inert things and thereafter tackle the most difficult part of changing our attitude towards living beings around, especially the human beings, which is the most challenging. Changing our attitude to other human beings is the most challenging change. But unless we learn to accept this, our problems will persist. Those problems will give rise to sorrowful situations, and that will eventually lead to grief. And therefore, Krishna says, hey Kaunteya, hey Arjuna, know this fact and accept it. Never show resistance, because resistance to facts leads to sorrow. And if we analyze the root cause of all our sorrows, we will find that the seeds of our sorrow are in our resistance to facts. Just as in electricity, increased resistance leads to increase in heat. Similarly, when we increase our resistance, that heat of all these impurities within the body like kama, krodha and all, they all increase. Therefore, he says matra sparshastu. Matra means sense organs. It's a very wonderful word. Ma means to know, to experience. That is the meaning of the word ma. The word pramanam and all has come from that. And tra means instrument. So matra means instrument of knowledge, instrument of experience. And that is what he is referring to as matra hai. And what are those instruments of experience for us? Pancha jnanendriyani, the 5 sense organs. And so matra means sense organs and sparsha means sense objects. Objects of contact which are outside us. So whether we like it or not, these sense organs, whether we like it or not, there are sense organs and there are sense objects. And these two are going to interact. With regards to the eyes, you can close them. You can say, no, I don't want my eyes sense organ to interact with a sense object. You can close them. But you cannot keep them closed all the time, isn't it? When the eyes are open, whatever is there, they are going to interact with that, whether good, bad, ugly. Similarly, ears. We can't close the ears also. At least permanently, we can put some earbuds and all that and temporarily close it. Especially when the spouse is snoring the bedside at night. But ears by nature are open, so you hear so many comments. Similarly, smell, you cannot close the nose because you have to breathe. So certain things you may be able to close temporarily, but certain organs you cannot close. Therefore, the sense organ and the sense objects will interact. Bhagavan says you cannot avoid their interaction. And Swami Paramahansa gives another example. He says some people want to meditate and they want to go to some caves or very calm, silent place somewhere in the jungle. Because they can then avoid all the local road noise and things like that and all, right? But he says even there in the caves and all, there will be some insects, some mosquitoes will be there. They will be ringing in the ears. What can you do about it? Wherever you are taking your sense organs, they will interact with whatever sense objects are there at that place. So what is the best method? Since you cannot escape anywhere, best method is learn to live with situation rather than run away. When you run away from a situation, your resistance and strength will come down. Whereas when you face the situation, your resistance capacity to bear that, to endure that will increase. And that is why we have got this vaccination, etc., isn't it? First dose, second dose, booster dose, etc. When we get vaccinated, the inner resistance, in fact, our immunity system gets strengthened. Similarly, only when we face the situation, we can strengthen our mind. And therefore, Arjuna, accept them. And it is a fact that by nature, all sense objects are Sitoshna Dukkhadaha. They are all sense objects have the potential to give you, opposite experiences. They will give heat, cold, pleasure, pain. These opposite experiences you cannot avoid. The whole life is a series of opposite experiences. If manam comes, apamanam will come. If there is sanyoga, there will be viyoga. If there is growth, there will be decay. If there is gain, there will be loss. So life is a series of that, and this is the nature of an Atma. Therefore, they are all of the nature of agama apayinaha. Agama means arrival, apayina means departure. You cannot change their nature. Therefore, mentally be ready to welcome them. Mentally be prepared to accept them. Agate swagatam kuryat gachantam na nivaraye. When they come, be mentally prepared to welcome. When they go, be mentally prepared to send them off. Be ready for both. And because agama apayina hai or anitya hai, they are all impermanent. So in the previous sloka, Bhagavan talked about Nitya Atma. Here he is focusing on Anitya Atma. He says accept both of them. And as I said, what is meant by acceptance? He says, Hey Bharata Tantitikshaswa, may you develop endurance, may you develop inner strength, both physical and mental. May you increase your physical immunity. May you also increase your mental immunity, your psychological immunity. In fact, more than physical, mental immunity should be stronger. Therefore, acceptance means what? Developing endurance to those things which cannot be changed. Our sense organ coming into contact with the impermanent sense objects cannot be avoided. We will continuously experience the pair of opposites like day and night, hot, cold, pleasant, unpleasant, etc. Therefore, Krishna does not say we have to avoid the contacts. We need to understand them, develop sufficient endurance to bear with the pair of opposites. And most of our problems are like this. They only need to be understood. We cannot totally remove ourselves from the opposites or remove them from us. Of course, this is not to say that one should not make an attempt to improve a situation. But if things must always be pleasant for us, Lord Krishna is making it very clear that they would not be. Because things both pleasant and unpleasant, they are not always going to be as you want. Nor are they going to be, permanent also. So as said in the previous sloka, if death itself is said to be incapable of causing sorrow, where does that leave all other situations that seem to make us unhappy rather? The world can cause some physical pain to us because the physical body belongs to the physical world. One physical entity can hurt another physical entity. But Arjuna's problem is not physical, it is mental, it is psychological, it is purely shoka. And shoka is a type of thinking, it is an emotional pain. So, what Bhagavan Krishna is saying here is, take every situation as it comes, Arjuna, cheerfully in your stride with a sense of humor. That is the only way to deal with them, is to develop titiksha, endurance, acceptance, and bearing with them. Okay, we'll stop here and then continue in the next class. It is time almost. Okay. Om Purnamadav Purnamidham Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadhaya Purnameva Vasishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om. Thank you all very much.
Thank you, Guruji.
Thank you, Guruji.
Thank you.
Thank
Hari
you.
Om.
Hari Om.
Thank you, Guruji.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Guruji.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mama. Thank you, Guruji.
Guruji. Hari Om.
Guruji,
One second, Krishanji. Let everybody say thank you and then we can start.
okay.
Yes,
Thank you, Guruji.
thank you very much. Thank you. Hariji, I will first take Krishnan's question and then I come to you, okay? Even though I saw your
Sorry
hand.
if I have.
Sorry.
I'm sorry if I had interrupted him. I'm not sure.
No, that's okay. It's
No.
all the same. You
No,
will also be here. He
basically,
will also be here.
no. Basically, you gave that example of that onion,
Yeah.
how its basic qualities cannot be changed, whatever you may do.
Yeah.
But today, in the scientific world, we have got a lot of these hybrid varieties. For example, two different mango things are brought. They do what is called grafting, and then create a new breed of mangoes. So
Correct.
in that context, that means that is also possible. I am saying,
True, but is that permanent? Is the question.
well, that variety will grow. That will be a new generation. That will be a
Well,
new Atma.
one can argue with that, but then that becomes a new nature. That is what you are saying, right?
Yes. That
That becomes a
become
new nature.
absolutely.
But the point is, if it becomes a new nature, have you done anything? That new nature has been acquired naturally, correct?
No, but there was an effort put in to
Correct.
create.
True. Very true. There's an effort put in to create that, right? But that becomes a new nature, which if it turns out to be some, for example, when they do that, the taste of that, the result of that taste, I'm just giving you an example, is not something palatable. Then that
Like
becomes the nature of that.
true. For example, test tube babies.
Yes.
So
Test
that
tube babies, new nature, correct?
new nature, yes.
Can you change the nature of the test tube babies? Have they actually that
No,
experiment actually succeeded?
once the baby is formed, probably owing to its past karma, it will acquire some qualities and be born.
Correct. So basically, what we have to understand here is that to some extent, which I will actually wanted to tell you, see, there is a serenity prayer. I don't know whether you have come across that.
No.
We will talk about it next class, but I will just tell you what that prayer is. That prayer is, oh Lord, give me the strength to accept what cannot be changed.
Okay.
Give me the knowledge to know what cannot be changed. And give me the wisdom to differentiate between what can be changed and what cannot be
What
changed.
cannot be changed? That's a good
So
one.
ultimately, we have to see that if something can be changed, this does not mean that accept everything as it is.
Okay.
But understand that if you are unable to change something, that is a nature of that thing, and that you don't try to change. So it's an iterative process. We will all try to change things around us to suit our requirements, right? Some things change, some things don't change. But what happens is, if we don't have the discriminative power to know what can be changed, what cannot be changed. In fact, I don't know whether there is a story which comes to my mind, old Tenali Raman story. I don't know whether you have heard that story, right? Of course, it's a little bit racism involved, but then it's a story, so we can ignore that racism part of it. It's in there was a king. The king felt that everything can be changed. So he caught hold of a Shudra boy and he conducted this Upanayanam ceremony for that to convert him into a Brahmin.
Okay.
Tenali Raman saw that. So the next day, when that king was coming, even the riverside, Tenali Raman caught hold of a black cat.
Okay.
Dipped it in the river and started applying soap and washing it. The king asked Tenali Raman, what are you doing? Why are you doing this to the black cat? He says, no, see, I am trying to make it a white cat.
White cat.
Right? The king said, what nonsense, sir. How can you change? Black is its original color. It is its natural color. How can you change it to white? So he said, Raja, if a Shudra can become a Brahmin by putting one punal, I can change this color also, So that is the point. There are certain things which are ordained by nature, which cannot be changed. But we should also understand there are certain things which can be changed. So what can be changed, we can change. But don't waste your time trying to change which cannot be changed. Like for example, the heat of the sun. You can't change the heat of the sun, but you can protect yourself from the heat of the sun. That you can change. You can change the situation around your room, make it AC and things like that and all. So if there is no AC, suppose you have everything, there is no power cut is there. What will you do now? You will say, okay, I will have a generator. The generator also runs out. Eventually, at some stage, that endurance has to be developed. In our houses and all, we can talk of AC and all that. Suppose we have school-going children or college-going. In the college, in our classes, do they provide ACs and all? In Gurukulam, do they provide ACs? No.
Not even fans, perhaps.
Not even fans many places. So if there is hot, there is no point in complaining, oh, it is hot, it is hot, it is hot. Endure them. Don't waste your time. Don't put all your attention. Because if that you do, you will only keep on crying and cribbing, and then sorrow will follow.
We used to have classes in tents in Delhi, Lodi Road School.
Yeah. We have also seen, we are the same alumni only, isn't it? So that is what is the message here. It does not mean that you should not attempt to change what cannot be changed. Understand difference between what is nature and which cannot be changed. And especially with reference to human beings, that is what we do, isn't it?
Correct.
And in fact, this is so profound in marriages that when the girl comes to our house, we try to completely overhaul that girl's, all previous habits, everything. You have to fit into our mold. How do you expect to do that? And that is the starting of all conflicts. Earlier days, girls used to be, very, they used to be silent and not very, I would say, aggressive.
Vocal, yeah.
Vocal and aggressive. These days, they are very aggressive, they are very vocal, and they say that you, instead of trying to change me, you change to suit my taste and my preferences. So this is what, and if whether it is is a spouse, whether it is our relatives around us, even children. See, children, you can not change them, you cannot change their samskaras because they are born with that. What you can certainly change to a little bit extent in their growing up years is give that some direction to their growth. It is just like a sapling is there, it is going a little bent. So you put one stick and then tie it, so that it goes straight. That you can do. Other than that, when the children, he or she becomes a teenager, try to change anything, including their habit of sleeping late in the morning, or their habit of keeping their cell phone always with them, or doing so many things, sleeping late at night, seeing horror movie. Try to change that.
You give up finally.
You give up, you have wasted all your time in doing that. That is a wise man, understand that. Let me not waste my time. Accept people as they are. Advice you can give. Advice should be such that it should be for their benefit, not for your benefit. Again, you make them understand, make them see by doing certain things or not doing certain things, how they are harmed or they are at a disadvantage. And if they are wise enough, intelligent enough, they will understand and they themselves will change their habits. Otherwise, we cannot do anything. It is just like, as they say in Malayalam, there is a saying. The saying says that the dog's tail is curled.
Correct.
You can put a tube in that. When you remove the tube, it will again become curled only.
Kutte ka dum.
कुत्ते का दुम टेढ़ा ही रहेगा, वो कभी सीधा नहीं कर सकते, कुछ भी कर लो. So like that is what Bhagavan is saying. What is the way? Accept it as it is. Period. Kutte ka dum will be टेढ़ा only. Accept it. Don't try to waste your time.
Only thing is cut it.
Yeah. Sorry. That I hope we have had a good discussion. What is endurance? What is titiksha means? That is what it says. Yes, Hariji.
Thank you.
Hari Om.
Thank you, Guruji.
Yes, Hariji, unmute yours.
Can you kindly tell me that every time in each verse there are different names being used? Either Arjuna calling Krishna different names or Krishna calling Arjuna different names. In this case, he is now using the name Kaunteya and Bharata.
Kauteya, I told you, son of Kunti.
Yeah. But there is any specific reason why he is specifically saying Kaunteya or
Well,
Bharata?
see, in some instances, actually, if we go into that analysis of those names wherever they are used, which I have not seen being done by either Puja Swamiji or Swami Paramarthananda ji, even Sadatmananda ji. Occasionally they do that. But everything is actually we can think about it and connect it to some meaningful reference there. For example, when he says Kaunteya,
does he aim to help him to
yes,
raise?
he is saying identify yourself with your mother Kunti, who underwent so much of difficulties in her life.
Okay.
Right? And she has actually lived through, brought you all up, made you all superstars rather. Identify yourself with that. Then when say, hey Bharata.
Yeah.
Same thing, you are belonging to that Vamsha of that Bharata king, who was an embodiment of Dharma.
Okay.
And like the Bharata king in some places is referred to, is sort of equated to the earth.
Yeah.
The bearing of that is the earth has got the highest endurance. It bears all things which is put on the earth, isn't it?
Yeah.
Everything that earth bears. So that's why it's called Dharti also. Dharayate iti Dharti. So like that he's saying, Titikshasva, learn to bear everything. You belong to that Bharata Vamsha rather, hey Arjuna. So like that, we can actually derive certain implications from the different names which Krishna takes rather. But normally, if it was Bhashyam class, probably I will have to check. Adi Shankara would have dealt with some of these names rather in Bhashyam class, in his Bhashyam rather. But here we are not, we are only doing the Moolam, and always there is a conflict between how much time you have to take to explain things, and it should not become too long and things like that. So some of these things we omit, but if you, whatever occurs to my mind, I can always tell you. Mostly it is like this only. Whenever different names are taken, some different attributes are recalled along with that name. So again, Krishna is some places referred to as Varshneya, Varshini Kula Jata. That is, he comes from the Varshini Kula. So you know what is Varshini Kula. Then you have to know the story of the Varshini Kula. So like that, we can always do that. But wherever it is possible for me, I will give you the explanation. I'll make it a point, and when I make a note that if I find any such authentic reference to that, I will certainly share it with you. Okay. Thank you. Yes, Sulekha ji.
Hari Om Guruji. My question is regarding the word Maitreya, and is that the correct pronunciation, Maitreya? To know or to experience, Maitreya?
Matra.
Matra.
Matra, not Maitreya. Matra.
Excuse me. So in Matra, the to know or to experience, is that the same then to consider knowledge and experience as the same?
No, tra means organs. Ma means knowledge. So matra means the organs of knowledge. The organs which help you to gain knowledge. Which are they? They are the 5 sense organs, right?
Yes.
Eyes, ears, nose, skin, and ear. 5 sense organs. So these sense organs, they are the organs of knowledge. So matra means organs of knowledge, or otherwise what we call sense organs. It is not the same as knowledge. Ma means knowledge. Tra means organs. Matra means organs of knowledge.
Thank you for the clarification. Thank you.
Any more questions?
Yes, Guruji, it's me.
Yes, Premaji.
The last time we spoke about a verse, Sachidananda Rupaya Vishwotpatyadi Hetave, the dhatu there is Nuvaha and Naumi and Numaha. So Numaha was correct. And it was
Right.
found in the prayer that is there in the Bhagavata Mahatmya.
Oh, okay, okay. I think I also saw that. In fact, I forgot to tell you that is there. That Numaha is a usage is there. It is not Namaha. I also checked up after the class, but it somehow slipped my mind. For my this thing, I said, okay, Numaha was correct. That's what I discovered. But I'm sorry, I forgot to share it in the last class. Yeah.
That's okay, Guruji.
I saw that that Numaha usage. Yeah.
In real life,
Huh?
when somebody is suffering and they put the question because of their misunderstanding or because of their ignorance, and you're put in a place where you don't see any out, you have to go through it. So when they say learn to put up with whatever you're undergoing, it's easy for the person who is not undergoing it. It's hard for the person who is in it. And when they say, for how long, how do you explain it, especially to teenagers? How would you explain it to them?
Atmagyanam is not for teenagers. Atmagyanam is only for people who have got the sadhana chatushtayam, correct? Here what Krishna is trying to tell Arjuna is develop those. So teenagers also, if they are, we cannot generalize as teenagers. Teenagers in our society is what we are talking about. Go to Gurukulam, there are so many teenagers there also. Go to all these ashrams in Rishikesh and all, you find so many teenagers, but they all come with the samskaras that they already are fit for this Atmagyanam, right? Even Swami Paramarthananda, what age did you think that he went to Chinmaya Guru, this thing? He was a teenager when he went there. He was a teenager. We learned that. So that time itself, that, that Viveka, Vairagyam, all that was there in many teenagers. So they are fit for this Atmagyanam. You cannot catch hold of some teenager and say, okay, come sit here, I'll give you Atmagyanam. You will be wasting that. That means you are not wasting your time in trying to change that person. That is why this, for this self-knowledge, for Vedanta study, the qualifications are very, very strict qualifications are there. They are very tight. There are so many people, they will listen to so many Vedanta lectures. You are talking about teenagers. I am talking about adults, 25 years, 30 years, they listen to Swami Chinmayananda, Swami Dayananda Saraswati, Swami Paramathananda. Not an iota of difference would have happened to them in their daily life. Because as I call them, they are all entertainment listeners. In fact, I came across, he actually is a distant cousin of mine. When he came to know that I am studying in this Gurukulam, Arsha Vidya, then he said, who is the Guru there? And I said, Swami Dayananda Saraswati. Swami Dayananda Saraswati. I attend all his lectures. Then I was very happy to listen to that. I thought this fellow is all inclined to Vedanta. So then I asked him that how do you find his talks and all that. You know what he said? No, 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 no. I go to his lectures only for the jokes that he cracks. I don't care what else he says. So I said, oh, come on, wonderful. Swami Dayanand Saraswati is such a learned person. There's so much to learn from him for each one of us. Even if we spend our whole lifetime, we will not learn. And this great man goes to his talks, nothing goes into his head except the jokes. So such people are there, and many of them, most of the people are like that only. This is again, I'm not trying to generalize, but this is what happens. And Swami Paramatmananda himself says, Gita over, what he says, Vedanta gone, chappal on, Vedanta gone. So in the class, after the class is over, people go, and the moment they put on their chappals, all this Vedanta goes away. When the chappal is on, Vedanta is gone, he says. So what is the point? There was a time when Swami Paramatmananda used to take people on cabs. In fact, his first Atma Bodha lecture was in a cab. He used to, organize 20, 30, 40 people, special, some train tickets and all that. They will go spend a week or there, and he will do the teaching there. After one of those camps, he stopped doing it. You know why? He says, what is the use of doing all these things? These people go there and they are behaving exactly the same way they behave everywhere else. There is nothing of Vedanta which has gone into them. In fact, their only idea of coming to these exotic places where the camps are held are to go for sightseeing. And then, buy all these kind of exotic things, what is the locally made things and all that. And they all land back in Chennai with all this big stuff there. What they have learned, Atma Bodha and all, you ask them, nobody knows anything what they have learned. So he says, what is the use of organizing these camps? So he decided, I am going to teach only in Chennai. I'm not going anywhere, taking anybody. Those who want to come and attend my class, they can come and attend. If they gain something out of it, it is their prarabdha. If they don't gain also, it is their prarabdha. I, as a sannyasi, I will teach. That is my dharma. I will do that. That is how Swami Paramatmananda now doesn't go anywhere. Of course, once in a year, people in Coimbatore, they invite him, and once in a year, he goes for a week to Bangalore. These are the two places he goes. He doesn't conduct any camp or anything. It is just that yajna he conducts in Coimbatore and Bangalore. Other than that, he is in Chennai. So what I'm trying to tell you is that every teacher, he will experience this. So he will never ever try to bring all those teenagers, unchangeable teenagers and all, and try to change them. Going to a Gurukulam, studying Vedanta should come from inside you, that I am now, even let it be out of curiosity. You hear something. That's what happened to me. I have been hearing Vedanta, but that curiosity never came. But in one talk, that curiosity came. And then I decided that I need to know a lot more about this. I need to go deep into this. But then that required so many things, living away from my family for 3.5 years, going to the Gurukulam. But at the same time, I'm a samsari. I cannot shun away my family responsibilities. So managing both for those 3.5 years was not an easy joke. So all that one needs to go. If you have to pursue something, these things will have to be done rather. So here, what Krishna is saying, that it's the same thing. If you can't change it, don't try to change those teenagers. So don't try to tell them Vedanta is there, Atma is there, Anatma is there. They won't. They will say, to hell with you and your Atma and Anatma. Let me watch this movie. Don't disturb me. Whether if it is your son, 100% he will say, you go and sit in another room and do what you want to do. Don't come and disturb me. That's what they will say. So we will not, even my own family members, I don't insist that they should learn Vedanta. I just tell them all these are there in YouTube. You want, you go and listen. Vedanta is my personal journey in my life. Now, not the journey of anybody else in my family. So why should I ask them to sit here when I am taking the class and listen to what is being said and all. It's foolishness. We can't do that. We shouldn't do that. Wasting our time. In fact, that time I can spend in time to develop my own titiksha, my own viveka, my own vairagya, etc. Any other question?
Thank you.
Thank you. If nothing else is there, shall we close? Lata ji, how are you, Lata? This week you are here.
Namaste, Guruji.
Namaste. Non-traveling week, huh?
Not traveling this week, Guruji. Back to my nest.
Okay, good.
Back in my nest.
I can understand because just son is recently married and a lot of social commitments will be there. So true.
Family commitments, Guruji. Yes. Yeah.
Sorry?
Well, I have a question, but I'm not sure. I mean, it's not pertaining to today's class, or maybe it does pertain to today's class in a way, I guess. The Atma is all pervading and it's there everywhere. There's no place where this Atma is not there, and it's always been there, it will always be there. This question keeps popping up in my mind when the body falls. So Atma is still there, even if the body falls. So from your Tattva classes, if I remember correctly, it is what leaves the body is the Karana Sharira and the Sukshma Sharira. But then Atma, there's nothing like Atma leaving and going and coming, isn't it? Because Atma is there everywhere all the time.
Correct.
So what is it that happens when the body falls? So is it just the Sukshma Sharira and the Karana Sharira that leave the...
Correct.
Or if it's going to come later, then we will...
Sukshma Sharira and Karana Sharira to travel out of the body, there is a movement involved.
Yes.
That movement has to be given some power.
Yes.
Without that, the movement will not take place. So the Atma, which is present everywhere, that consciousness provides that movement. It doesn't go anywhere. But anything that is happening, that consciousness keep on blessing that. And what is happening in the death of a body is when the Sukshma Sharira and Karna Sharira are leaving. In fact, when we say Atma, 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 I think in Tattva Bodha I explained that also with an illustration. What is this Jivatma we talk about? Jivatma is nothing but a reflection of the Paramatma, correct?
Yes, Guruji.
There is no entity called Jivatma in the body. When we say indweller and all that, that is all fine to understand at the earlier stages. That is a indweller and all. But there is no separate entity. It is only a reflection of the Paramatma, which is there in the body. So when the body is no longer there, it dies. What happens is, the body is the reflecting medium because of which we say there is a Jivatma, is the indweller. Correct? You understand this much?
Yes, Guruji.
When the body goes, what is happening is that reflecting medium goes away. That's all. The reflection is still there. That is the original
Source
is still there. And when the body takes another body, that becomes a reflecting medium. So the Atma doesn't travel anywhere, as you correctly understood. It is the Sukshma Sharira and Karana Sharira which travel. But to enable their travel, that consciousness, which is the Atma, is necessary. And also when we are talking of Paramatma, we are talking about three attributes, if at all I can call it attributes, which is what? Existence, Sat, Chit and Ananda. Chit is the consciousness part, Sat is the existence part. That existence pervades everything.
Yes.
Even a dead body, we say that the person was, but the body is. That isness is there even in a dead body.
Yes.
So one attribute of that Atma is still there in the dead body, even though consciousness is what, has enabled the Sukshma Sharira, Karna Sharira to go away and travel. That is how we have to understand what this, all pervading Atma and things like. There is only one Atma. So if there is the Atma going from here to another body, means there is a Atma also becomes divided, isn't it? This body is Atma, that body is Atma. That is not what the teaching is. So
Yeah.
that is how it is.
Yeah. Thank you. Guruji.
Guruji,
Thank you.
it is often said that talks about Chaitanyam, the body-mind complex, finally merges with the I would like a better explanation of Chaitanyam with reference to Lataji's question, because I am trying to connect it and I'm not able to.
See, so many things are said in the early stages of learning. Right? What happens is, as we learn more and more and more and more, so many things which were said earlier, they are all, those learnings are discarded as new learning comes. When it is said that there is only one reality, which is Chaitanya, everything else is dependent on that Chaitanya. So whether we say it in this way or that way, it doesn't matter, because as Shankara says, everything is mithya only. So in mithya, we don't need to add any reality to mithya, any satyatvam to the mithya. Mithya, anyway, you can say this magic, fine. This is the magic, fine. Enjoy it, that's all. So from the point of view of the question that you asked, that Chaitanyam, your question was,
how do I relate Chaitanyam? Because as the body leaves, the physical body goes to the food chain, and then the rest moves on.
So
and
eventually,
goes to the
it
Chaitanyam.
merges with this. There is no merging actually. There is no merging. Merging is again a term which is used in the previous stages of teaching. In fact, when you realize there is no question of any merging, there was never a Jivatma. Jivatma is a mithya. This entire creation which we are talking about is a mithya. There is nothing. It's only an appearance. There is only one truth, which is the Paramatma, or what you can call this Chaitanyam. That is the only truth. Everything else is an appearance. So when we say, merging, meeting and all, that's why you say a Jnani understands this. That is why for his own body, mind, sense complex, he will view it as a instrument, as a creation, which is also a mithya only. Very difficult for us to conceive, because we are not used to that kind of a thinking at all. We are not used to that orientation at all. Whole Vedanta is about developing that orientation. And because of all these other matams and all have come in between, traveling to Swarga, traveling to Vaikuntha, traveling to Kailasha, all these things all keep occupying our mind, and we try to visualize all these things in those type of frame of mind. And then we have all these questions, which is natural. But eventually what we need to understand is there is no merger, there is no traveling, nothing. Only one reality, which is Atma, consciousness, Chaitanya. That's it. That's how we reconcile it. In the last final stages. Not now. Yes, Ariji.
When we say merger, I mean, to me, that merger doesn't happen, because if merging happens, means that there are two entities.
Correct. Correct.
So which is totally
Against the Vedanta teaching.
against the Advaita.
Yes.
There is only Ekam.
Yes. Ekameva.
So,
correct.
So it is actually not merging. You say you become.
That's why, the word Aikyam is used.
Yeah.
The way Adi Shankara interprets is identifying with.
Yeah. That's you become.
Not merging. You finally come to realize that
I am that.
Identify with that Paramatma. That is the only reality. That's what.
Yeah.
That's only one thing. So there's no question of any merging or
Merging. Merging can happen only through
two
separate.
things are there, they merged. Yeah. But that's, as I said, the learning process is like that. We have to go from Purana, then to Bhagavad Gita, and then here also, Krishna does not say everything is mithya, I'm not going to teach you. He doesn't say. He also treats Arjuna as another entity. I am Krishna himself assumes three roles as Paramatma, as Ishvara, and also as Krishna, Arjuna's friend. So all that is given reality to in terms of this. So Bhagavad Gita also is in the realm of learning, one of the learning stages, rather a little advanced than the Puranas, right? But when we come to Upanishads, and then when we come to Brahma Sutra, there we will see all these arguments for, against, unity, Dvaitam, Advaitam, Visishta Advaitam, all other Nyaya Shastra and Sankhya Yoga, everything being discussed in Brahma Sutra Bhashya. Then the whole thing will become completely clear to us. What we have learned, everything, this is how we have to understand, relate, and imbibe that knowledge. That's when we do the Brahma Sutra. That is how the whole journey is. But if we tell everybody right in the beginning itself, there is nothing, only Atma is there and all that, they will say, hey, Pagal, he is a mad fellow. He doesn't know what he is talking. Like that, they will say. That is what, in fact, everybody says about Vedanta. All other Matam say these are all Vedants are mad people. In fact, there is the Bihar school of yoga. You have heard of the
Satyananda Saraswati.
Huh?
Satyananda Saraswati.
Satyananda Saraswati, Niranjanananda Saraswati is Shishya. He is now the
Yes.
head there.
Mhm.
Go and listen to his lecture. I went to, because my wife is a yoga teacher and all that, so she follows that yoga kind of a thing. She doesn't believe in Vedanta. It's a different story. I went to one talk of his, my God, he was attacking Advaita like he is a pagal log hai. Ye kaise bol sakte hain ki I am not real, मैं सच नहीं हूँ, मैं तो सामने आपके सामने खड़ा हूँ और वो बोलते हैं कि ये सब सच नहीं है, ये सब झूठ है. So much he was attacking, I couldn't stand it. I came away in the middle. I had to hell with it, with this yoga and these lectures. What I'm saying is, don't try to, if you want to attack it with certain substance. Just don't be an opposition party in India, just saying all sorts of things against the government, isn't it? Just for the sake of saying it. Earlier I had a lot of respect for that person, but after that lecture, I totally lost his respect. Adi Shankara also, whenever he is making a point, he will quote a reference. Or he will quote when he is arguing against Nyaya Shastra or Vaisheshikas, he will tell you are saying this, but you are yourself contradicting this. He will point it out. So that is how you must have a debate. Is Vivadam is that only. Otherwise, it will become Vidandavadam. You just for the sake of arguing, keep on arguing. That is why. So all these things and all have to be understood at their respective stages. So when you come to Brahma Sutra only, everything will become totally clear. And as I said, Bhashyam one must study if we are really serious. Without Bhashyam, this is good enough to know such things are there. Why it is there, what is the justification for such views and all, only Shankara Bhashyam will give you that insight into all these things. He will take up a question, which is what he calls a Purva Pakshi. Purva Pakshi means an opponent who will actually raise a question like any of these. Then Adi Shankara will give an answer, a very, I would say, logical answer to that. So the Bhashyam goes through pages and classes after classes after classes. One needs to, if you are in the pursuit, one needs to have that knowledge. Without Bhashyam, Vedanta is totally half-baked, half-cooked food. But what happens is, once people finish at least say Bhagavad Gita, then if some few develop an interest, I want to learn the Bhashyam. Then Bhashyam classes can be held. As I said, Ramuji said, Paramarthananda ji held Bhashyam classes over 14 years. It takes 14 years. Every word of the Bhashyam is explained. So it will take time. So it's a full-time pursuit, Vedanta. Some people are lucky like him. They have kept the whole life they spent. Some unlucky people, at least later on, we became a little bit lucky that we could go to a Gurukulam and learn a little bit of it. That is how it is.
Silky, did you understand what Guruji said in Hindi about Swami Niranjanananda? You can't hear me?
What was that?
Anyway.
What did they say?
No, because Sulekha, I was asking her if she understood the Hindi part that you spoke of about Swami
About the
Niranjanananda.
dog, you know.
No, not the dog. Swami Niranjanananda's argument against Nandi. Yes, I don't know
Did
if
you understand?
did you understand, Silky? She can't hear me.
She's asking, Premaji is asking, did you understand when I was referring to Swami Niranjanananda's talks? I quoted some Hindi words from what he said. It was not quotation, it was actually, I paraphrased his words. So did you understand this word?
I didn't understand the Hindi, but I understood the gist of what you were saying, the message that you said. So I did not need to understand word by word,
Yeah, fine. That
but
is
I
fine.
understood what your message was in saying that.
Yeah, exactly. And in fact, it was not only Swami Niranjananda, so many people have got this question. How can you say what we experience is not real? And in fact, our thinking always is, black and white thinking here. If it is not real, it is false. Right? We never even think that something which is not real can appear as real, but has no reality. That thinking never comes to us. And the whole Vedanta is based upon that only, trying to make clear to us that what appears to be real need not necessarily be real. And I'll give so many examples like, the mirage water, and so many examples Vedanta gives that they appear to be real, but they have no reality. You can't experience their reality. So this is all, we can go on talking about this, all these principles on which Vedanta is based. But eventually, when we think about it, when we actually have exposure to some other, philosophies and all, I personally feel that Vedanta makes the most sense of this entire creation, of what the questions in our mind are. It gives a full answer to all the questions. Only Vedanta gives, Advaita Vedanta gives that. So that is my personal view, rather. So that is why people who believe in that, they get attracted towards Advaita Vedanta and they pursue it. Yeah. So shall we close the class? Yes, Hariji.
Perhaps in the next class during the satsang, QA, we can probably discuss the difference between unreal and false.
Yes.
It is there totally different meaning. One
Yes.
is unreal, the other is false. Probably you can explain to us.
There are two words used. Anritam is one word and mithya is another word.
Yeah.
Anritam and mithya are not the same.
No.
Isn't it? Anritam is false. Mithya is that which is not real but appears to be real. That is mithya. That is why, it is defined as Sat Asat Anirvachaniyam. It cannot be explained in words. Okay. That is what is a mithya is. So anyhow, we can discuss that in the next one satsang, no problem. Okay.
Yes.
Right now then, I will close the class and continue next Saturday. Hari Om.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.